Hey, Alan. Long time no see. How's it going?
Good. Just here getting the old ticker pumping. What about you?
Same old, same old.
Hey, I ran into your son Bobby the other day. Did he say Stacy's got one on the way?
Sure did. About 4 months along with their second. They had a little girl about 1.5 years ago. Piece of work. I tell you, a chip off the old block.
You don't say. How do you mean?
Hard-headed, just like Bobby. And when she's up to something, she gets that same look in her eye Bobby used to get when he was a kid. It's really something else.
So she takes after her father, huh? That'll give him a taste of his own medicine. All those years causing trouble in the neighborhood.
Yep, time to pay the piper.
I remember when my kids were that age. You've really got to be on the ball. Can't turn your back for a minute before they're already up to something.
Yeah, don't keep up with them like I used to. 2 hours and I'm bushed. But I tell you, I'm having a blast being a grandfather. Not like with your own kids at all.
For sure. You get to be a pushover without any of the guilt.
Yeah, like the other morning, I was babysitting. Well, the girl got it in her head that she wanted ice cream at 9 a.m. She was set on it. At first I thought, no, Bobby'd have a fit. But then I thought, hey, it's not my kid. So I caved in and gave it to her. Ice cream for breakfast, can you believe it?
Yeah, it's easy to buckle when it's your grandkids and not your kids. Sounds like she's got you wrapped around her finger.
Yeah, I'm hooked when it comes to this grandfather business. Can't wait for the next one.
To run into somebody.
To meet somebody unexpectedly. Alan didn't plan on seeing Bobby. He ran into him on his way to the post office.
To have one on the way.
To be pregnant. To be expecting a child. Frank's daughter-in-law already has one child and another on the way.
A piece of work.
A complicated, interesting, or amusing person. Often said ironically. Frank's granddaughter is really smart and stubborn for her age. She's a real piece of work.
A chip off the old block.
Said of children when they greatly resemble one of their parents in personality or behavior. Frank's granddaughter has all of the mannerisms and attitudes of her father. She's a chip off the old block.
You don't say.
An expression used to show mild surprise, like saying, "Really? Your son is finishing college already? You don't say." This can also be a sarcastic expression to show that you don't find something as interesting as someone else does. That's the 3rd time this week you've had the same thing for breakfast? You don't say.
Hard-headed.
Stubborn. When Frank's granddaughter decides she doesn't want to do something, there is no one who can convince her otherwise. She's very hard-headed.
Up to something.
Involved in some kind of mischief. Planning something. It's obvious when Frank's granddaughter is planning to do something she knows she shouldn't. It's obvious when she's up to something.
Something else.
An expression meaning something noteworthy or something interesting or worth discussion. Frank thinks it's very interesting that Bobby's daughter has so many of her father's mannerisms. He says it's something else.
To take after.
To have the same traits or characteristics as another person. When Hannah is frustrated, her face turns completely red like her father when he is frustrated. Hannah takes after her father in that way.
To have a taste of one's own medicine.
To be on the receiving end of behavior that one has subjected others to. Gertrude often used to bail on plans with her friends at the last minute. Now her friends do the same to her. She is getting a taste of her own medicine.
To pay the piper.
To suffer the consequences of your actions after a long time of not suffering any consequences. Lonnie has avoided paying her income tax for years. This year, the IRS is doing an audit of her finances. She will either have to cough up the money or go to jail. Either way, she'll be forced to pay the piper.
On the ball.
Ready, alert, highly prepared. Poisonous snakes live in this area and blend in with the environment, so you really have to keep your eyes open when we go hiking there. You've got to be on the ball.
To turn your back on someone.
Literally, to turn away from or look the other way. Parents often lose small children in department stores because they forget to keep an eye on them. Parents can turn their backs for 1 second and then find that the child is gone. Note that this expression can also be used figuratively, meaning to abandon or stop caring about someone. A true friend would never turn her back on you.
To keep up with something or someone.
To go at the same speed or pace. To be aware of changes or current conditions. Technology changes so fast, it's difficult to be aware of the most recent trends. It's difficult to keep up with all the new technology.
To be bushed.
To be very tired. After 15 hours of waiting tables without a break, Sam was exhausted. He came home bushed.
To have a blast.
To have a lot of fun, to have a great time. Every July, the city sets up a carnival with rides, games, food, and entertainment. It's tons of fun. If you go, you'll have a blast.
To be a pushover.
To be easily convinced or persuaded. Don't worry about whether Marla will agree to the idea. I can convince her of anything. She's such a pushover.
Set on something.
Fixated on something and determined to have it. At first, Howard thought about getting a desktop computer, but when he saw how cool the laptops looked, he was determined to have one. He was set on buying a laptop.
To have a fit.
To have a temper tantrum. To lose control of your emotions. To display your anger. When you go to Frida's house, remember to take your shoes off at the door. If you don't, she'll become very angry. If you forget to take your shoes off, she'll have a fit.
To cave in.
To give in. To allow yourself to be persuaded or tempted. I really didn't need a new pair of shoes, but after trying on this pair, I decided to buy them anyway. I caved in and bought them.
To buckle.
To be persuaded, to change your mind. I didn't want to go whitewater rafting this Saturday, but my friends kept calling and pressuring me to go. So I finally agreed. I finally buckled.
To have someone wrapped around your finger.
To cause someone to be obedient to you. To influence someone very greatly. To exert far too much influence on someone. Patricio doesn't seem to make any decision for himself whenever Victoria's around. He always goes along with whatever she says. She's got him wrapped around her finger.
To be hooked.
To enjoy something very much. To be convinced of something. Last week was the first time I ever played tennis. I want to play all the time now. I'm hooked on tennis. In the context of drugs or alcohol, hooked can also mean addicted. James didn't smoke long before he needed a cigarette all the time. After only 3 months, he was hooked.
When it comes to something.
Regarding, with regard to, or concerning something. Gene isn't good at much, but he is a talented painter. When it comes to painting, Gene is exceptionally good.